All right, Jackson, I'm going to kick it over to you. You've got 20-ish minutes to share with us about juvenile justice outreach. And then after we go through that, we'll have a quick Q&A and then do a virtual roundtable where we can share announcements, wins, challenges, and still hunting for if anybody has any tidbits on holiday resources for Thanksgiving or Christmas, getting those out and sharing those with the group as well would also be great. So Jackson, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, thank you again for the opportunity. So Juvenile Justice Outreach is a local faith-based nonprofit and was founded a long time ago in our community. Some of you that have been around for more than a few years may recognize the name Jeff Cheeseborough. He founded Juvenile Justice Outreach and was a real pillar in our community for a long time. He passed in June of 2020, and that is when I came on board and took over the nonprofit. So we work really closely with the Juvenile Probation Department and Juvenile Diversion, and the probation officers and their whole team, essentially, to find out what the needs are of the youth on probation and diversion and their families, and then work to meet those needs. We also run the chaplain programming at the Juvenile Detention Center. So I've got a team of volunteer chaplains, and we're in there multiple times every week, meeting with the kids in groups. And then also, if they'd like, they can meet with us one-on-one as well. And really enjoy the opportunity to do that. We also provide funding for juvenile probation scholarships. So programs like Equine Therapy, First Tee, the Idaho Youth Challenge Academy, actually down in Pierce, Idaho. All of these programs cost money, and a lot of our youth come from low-income families and broken families, and they can't afford to participate in these programs. And we believe strongly in what these programs are able to do for our kids. So we provide scholarships for them. The equine therapy I'm particularly excited about. We work with a ranch in Athol called Hope Reigns Foundation, and they're just a great group of folks. I know there's another ranch south of Coeur d'Alene that does equine therapy as well. And yeah, really a neat program. It's expensive. And so we reach out to our community partners and are able to fund that for kids year round, which is great. We also do what we call crisis assistance. So we step in when families have a crisis, unexpected emergency situation, excuse me. It can be debilitating. We all know that. So JJO is able to step in and provide, groceries, toiletries. We've even provided furniture in the past, washers, dryers, hot water heaters, things like that. And we work with probation. So the probation officers discover what those needs of the kids are, and we're able to help meet those needs. Speaking of holidays, juvenile probation and diversion do some holiday programming. So they pick many of the neediest families on their caseloads, and JJO is able to provide the funding needed for the probation officers to go out and provide a full Thanksgiving meal for that holiday. And then at Christmas time, provide food for Christmas meals and then gifts as well. So families that would have gone without are able to take advantage of that, which is glad that we're able to do that. Every summer, we provide gift cards for school clothes and school supplies. So a big thing that's always been on my heart is mentoring. That special one-on-one relationship that an adult can form with a kid in need. And juvenile probation has a mentoring program, and it's the coordinator. Her name is Amelia Kirk, and she actually recently came on to the JJO board. and as our kind of an outreach coordinator for us. And so we work really closely to recruit mentors and get them matched up with the kids on probation. And because mentoring, it can be intimidating, it can be tough to find the extra funds to take a kid out to coffee and, meals, on a weekly basis. JJO is able to step in and help provide some of that funding to make that easier for the mentors to be able to do that. And then in July and August, we provide gift cards. So a mentor can take their mentee out and get them some new school clothes and some school supplies that they may not have been able to get. So really pleased that we're able to do that as well. And one of the ways that we recruit mentors actually is we have done presentations all throughout our community. I was recently at Freedom Fellowship Church. I was at Hayden Bible Church in September. I went and spoke at the Kiwanis Club actually in October, which was a lot of fun. So I would put that out there to any of you. If maybe you work with juveniles or have families that are in need, maybe you'd like to see how JJO can step in and help, or maybe there's some other partnership opportunities with your organization or an organization that you may know of. Would love to get together and collaborate, see how we could possibly work together. The future, I'm really excited about what's happening in our community. I'm sure many of you, or maybe most of you, are familiar with Children's Village. They have been awarded a grant to build a youth assessment center on their property. So it's going to be a separate building and essentially a resource for the organizations that work with that population of youth and families. These families are going to be able to walk through the door, whether they're in the midst of a crisis or an emergency, or they're looking for services. And Juvenile Justice Outreach is going to have some office space there. Juvenile probation will be there. Juvenile diversion will be there. And we're basically looking to invite anybody in any organization and program that, could help serve these folks to come to the table and to participate as a community as we try to do a better job of taking care of the at-risk youth and their families in North Idaho. This assessment center, the grant stipulates that the building will be up and running by July of 2023. And there's a lot of excitement around what this is going to provide for our community. And I'm really thankful to be, for JJO to be at the table. And so, again, if that piques your interest, I'd love to get together with you, sit down over a cup of coffee, and maybe figure out how any of you and your organization can be involved. That would be awesome. So those are kind of the big things that we've got going on. Another part of the preventative piece that we're working on is, aside from the assessment center, there is a push federally in the juvenile justice system to do more preventative work. And so JJO, we're kind of taking that upon ourselves to see what it is that we can do as an organization to begin that work. And so we're building relationships with the Lake City School District right now to do similar to what we're doing with kids that are already in the system, probation and diversion, but do those things for the youth that are being or have been identified as potentially on that path to probation. How can JJO step in and help maybe remove some of those barriers to their success? How can we step in and help divert those kids from that path? So does that look like, 6 months of counseling or parent training or treatment? Some of these things that are just out of reach what these families could take advantage of, how can JJO step in and bridge that gap? So we're working on developing that program now and hoping to launch it sometime next year. And in that way, grow what we do. We've not stepped outside of the juvenile justice system in an official capacity. And, we like to think that, we could work ourselves out of a job. Obviously, that's not entirely realistic, but if we could help meet the needs of some younger kids and their families where they're at now, maybe we can prevent them from getting involved with the system. So one of the ways that we're going to grow is we are relaunching our annual fundraiser dinner that used to happen every year. And then COVID, of course, interrupted so much. And so that's at the end of January. It's the last Friday in January, January 27th, and it's going to be at the Coeur d'Alene Resort. And we're just kind of inviting the community to come and to find out more about where JJO has been, where we're at, where we're headed. And it should be a fun evening. So as we look to grow and kind of expand what we do, we're going to need kind of more of everything, more volunteers and more partnerships and collaborations with other organizations in the community. So that's kind of the thumbnail about us. So if anybody has any questions, I'd love to answer.
Hey, Jackson, this is
Yeah.
Greta.
Hi.
Hi, nice to meet you. I saw that you were speaking this morning and I was thrilled.
Well, good.
And the people on the call are, they know a lot more than I do, but here's some of the things that I wanted to throw out there. A lot of times kids get into trouble based on family stuff, but also because they are not thriving in school and may not be a very good reader. Because in my studies back years and years ago, there was a correlation between how many jail cells were going to be built based on 5th grade reading levels. And so I'm wondering if maybe some reading remediation might help. And then the other thing, and forgive me, everyone, I just went to a chiropractor yesterday called Spolestra, and I have their info, but they study the brain and how the brain is receiving information. And a lot of times, if you've been through a lot of trauma, your brain isn't able to process the information, and all of the reactions that you're having to the stimulus in your world, you stay at a very, very young age and level, and how you make your decisions because you haven't been able to progress to fully grow yet. And some of these kids, I'm sure, are not even fully developed. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I was blown away, and the science behind it was really, really interesting. And so I'd like to connect you with them and see if there's something maybe they could suggest or do to help. And then the reading thing, I'm really curious if you do studies on where they are academically and what that looks like. And thanks to everyone else, because you guys obviously, I mean, you know a lot more than I do, but I'm very curious about those things.
Yeah, well, yeah, thank you very much. I don't have statistics at my fingertips on the reading level or the education level. When they're at detention, I know that they're in school, and I hear occasionally some kids are doing well and others are not. But that's a fantastic point. And one of the things that we're wanting to do a better job of is training. And so the assessment center that's being built is going to have a really nice kind of classroom/conference room space where we'll be able to do a better job of training our mentors, how they can better meet the needs of the mentees, get the parents in for, strengthening families, one of these types of programs. And then I know that there's at least one probation officer who is TBRI trained, which is a trauma-based intervention. And so all of these ideas are kind of rolling around, and we just kind of need to organize and formalize all of it. And I think, as far as putting people together and in the right spot to train and all of these things, it feels like it's just right around the corner. So I appreciate those thoughts.
Other questions for Jackson? Sorry, Wendy. If you want to type your question maybe in the chat. Jackson, I'd be curious, maybe a comment or two on maybe what you're most proud of thus far, and what's what's the vision here 3 and 5 years down the road?
Oh, most proud of. Well, maybe on a personal level. So Jeff, the founder, was a one-man band. I mean, he was just incredible. His capacity. I mean, nearly everywhere I go in kind of this realm, people remember Jeff very fondly, and for those that knew him, he was one of a kind.
Yeah.
And so I've just been so pleased that the juvenile justice outreach we've kind of been able to shift and continue to serve the youth and their families despite COVID, despite Jeff's unfortunate passing, and that we're just in a position to grow and to continue to do what we're doing and go beyond that. So yeah, very, very, very pleased about that. And on a more of a, the service, I guess, level, we're connected with the juvenile corrections facility down in Lewiston. We have a lot of our boys and our girls that get committed to the state. And so they leave our area and go to longer term facilities. There's one in Lewiston, there's one in Nampa, and there's one in St. Anthony's. And I've been connected with the facility down in Lewiston in order to continue that relationship. Most of the time is digitally over a Zoom call, but to continue those relationships with the youth and just to see the impact growing beyond, the face-to-face in the juvenile detention center, to go beyond that and to provide more programs and resources for the youth when they're not incarcerated is a big deal. I neglected to mention there's another nonprofit called 301 Ministries that I'm involved with, and we are currently meeting once a week on Monday nights at Skate Plaza Roller Rink at 6 p.m. And it functions kind of similarly to maybe if you were familiar with a church youth group situation where we hang out, there's opportunity to play games, we have dinner, and then instead of like a Bible study, so to speak, we have an intentional conversation or activity with the goal of maturity, with the goal of working through what the kids are dealing with and helping them to become successful adults. My passion, my heart is to just remove some of these barriers that the kids are facing, to give them the best shot possible to become well-adjusted, mature adults, and so that 301 Ministries piece is a part of that. And what we were hearing was that the kids that were incarcerated and in detention, they've got counseling, they've got treatment, they've got, a couple of options out there, but they were wanting something less formal. They wanted something that, more relaxed, I guess you could say, something where they could come and know that they were being, cared for, that the adults that were there wanted to be there, wanted a relationship, that there was going to be some consistency. And so to have that program up and running is really exciting as well. I think I've missed the second half of that question, Chris.
Just kind of maybe your vision of the next 3 and 5 years.
Yeah. Well, the grand vision for 301 Ministries is we would love to grow to a point where we were introducing kids to trades. Many of you are probably familiar with Elevate Academy, which just opened in Post Falls. We love the fact that there's opportunities for kids to, get their book style education paired with the trades. And we would love to see, so there's the assessment center. There's also a need for a crisis center where you've got beds available for kids to kind of come off of the street and maybe stay for 24 hours, maybe stay for weeks at a time. Their home life is not stable. They can't go home, or maybe they don't have a home, and we can kind of take care of this kid that's in desperate need, get them the education help that they need, and get them back up on their feet. And I was going somewhere with that. That's obviously down the line a ways, but yeah, our goal would really be in the next 3 to 5 years to. So Amelia, when we brought her on, she was the first really staff member beyond the founder, Jeff, and myself. And I see us getting to the point where we need to be adding more staff, formalizing our process in a lot of different ways, and really expanding into the preventative space. So yeah, and then continuing the the fundraiser dinner every year, growing our partnerships, and yeah, everything that we're doing to expand it and have more of a bigger impact would be
awesome.
Really
Thank you.
happen. Yeah.
Awesome. So Wendy in the chat, she had asked, do you have a component for suicide prevention, and is that even a need?
Yeah, that is another piece of that training that we are hoping to improve, because suicidality is an issue that we are seeing, and we need to do a better job of training in that area. So Wendy, not sure what connection we can have in that regard, but there's absolutely a need there.
And then Greta shared her contact information for you, Jackson, and is
Great.
looking to connect with you. Any other questions for Jackson? Awesome. Well, definitely there's a need, Jackson. So it's great to see that, your program is here, and the growth is on the horizon as far as expanding what you do and who you serve. On that note, is there age brackets that you work with, and how about just your geographic area, your footprint?
Sure. So right now, besides our connection with the facility in Lewiston, we're focused on North Idaho. I mean, we get kids that are south of us, kids that are north of us, but Kootenai County and North Idaho is really where we're focused. I've been asked about Spokane, and frankly, there's enough need here to keep us busy, certainly. So sorry, was there a second part to that? Our footprint and
just ages. What ages do you?
Yeah, ages. So right now it's 13 to 17 is essentially where we're at. Once a kid turns 18, they get marched across the parking lot to county. We don't lose touch with those kids because they're still on probation, many of them. But the average age is that 15 to 16 range. And as far as the preventative work we're trying to do, we want to get to the junior high and the older elementary age is what we're hoping to impact.
Awesome. Very good. Wendy in the chat there said that she left her contact information and may have some resources for you as well. Fantastic. Wendy, I'd love if you'd share those with me as well, and we'll make sure to broadcast those to the task force, because those would be good to put in our inventory as we navigate. We all navigate these situations and scenarios. So again, Jackson, thanks so much for jumping in the last moment. I know that this was kind of a last minute thing, but a number of people said, hey, I want to hear that, so send me the recording. So we'll make sure to broadcast this to the entire task force. So let's
happy to share.
Awesome, thanks. Let's switch gears and do a quick virtual roundtable. So this is your opportunity just to share any updates from your agency. We'd love to hear about wins, maybe struggles or challenges. And then any holiday resources. We're always looking to add to the inventory of holiday resources that we have available to the task force. So anybody want to jump in?
I will.
Thanks, Lisa.
So I'm Lisa. I'm with Family Promise of North Idaho. We are a family homeless shelter. We also do homeless prevention work. We currently are out of funding for our homeless prevention, but I am still working with the people that came in, and we're working on getting more funding. We are gearing up for holidays. Everything gets crazy in the homeless shelter sector or any of the nonprofit sector during this time of year. And so we're working to get Thanksgiving for our families and some of our former guest families. And then we have people that contact us to adopt families that have been in our program also. So that is our big thing. But the one thing I want to say is that we also are gearing up for next month is Avenues for Hope, which is a huge, it's where we get a lot of our funding. And what that is people can go online and donate like a small portion, $25, and that gets leveraged by like 2 to 3 times what the normal amount of money would be. So just starting to get that out there, and I think that's it for me.
Awesome. Thanks, Lisa. Who would like to go next?
Hi, it's Keeler from the Idaho Department of Labor. I just want to say that we just did an outreach program at Lake City High School. We met with Lauren, the career coach there. We met with 361 seniors. They all were brought in from their English classes, so it was a 2-day, basically, seminar. The kids were split up after her speech to either talk about schooling, apply for scholarships, or talk with the military people, or talk with us about workforce training, gap years, things like that. Sometimes we had no one at our tables, and sometimes we were over flooded. We'd have 18 at one time at our desk talking about our launch program, the careers for what's going on at NIC. It was an exciting experience. She has singled us out again for next year. Her goal is to meet with each senior, which is going to be over 400 next year at Lake City. And she is going to set out a plan to send to the parents and the student, either for schooling, or workforce training, gap years, or military. So it was pretty exciting.
Awesome. Thanks, Keeler. Anybody else like to share updates from your agency, wins, challenges, holiday resources? All righty, last call. Okay, looks like we can wrap up early today. I appreciate those that were able to make the call and those that were able to share. We'll definitely broadcast this recording out. So a little bit of housekeeping. December, we will not have a meeting. Traditionally, we do not, just because of the holidays. But I will be sending out a survey, really with the intent of setting our roadmap for 2023 when it comes to the ALICE Task Force. So questions will include, what are we doing well? What could we do better? What kind of speakers would you like to see for 2023? Those type of questions. So I will make sure to include that in my recap that the December meeting is canceled. We'll pick up our meetings in January again, but there'll be a survey where we'll use that information to set our roadmap for 2023. So with that, we can sign off, and thank you, everybody. Have great holidays, and let me know if there's anything else that you want me to share in the recap out to the group, and I can add that. But everyone have a great holiday.
You too, Chris. Have a good holiday.
Thanks,
Have a good
everyone.
rest of
You
the
too.
year.
Thanks,
Happy
Jackson.
holiday.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.